We've got one more semi-final to come in the Recurve men's competition, an all-Korean affair. And as you can see, the line judge and coaches, there are coaches out there, even though it's an all-Korean affair. Well, we're going to see Kim Jae-deok and Lee Woo-suk come out and contest for a place in the gold medal match against Mara and Espoli.
Korea being one of the few teams that have two colors t-shirts with them in case they both end up in the final.
Yeah, you can understand why that's a requirement when it comes to Korea. Time now for semi-final number 2 here in Medellin, Colombia, the third stage of the Hyundai Archery World Cup. And guess what? It's Recurve Sunday, and we've got a pair of Koreans going up against each other.
On target number 1, representing the Republic of Korea.
En la placa número 1, representando República Popular de Corea,
Kim Jae-deok. On target number 2, representing the Republic of Korea.
en la placa número 2, representando República Popular de Corea,
Lee Woo-suk. The line judge for this matchup is
el juez del partido,
Klaus Lugovic.
Well, Kim Jae-deok and Lee Woo-suk teamed up together for Korea to take the team gold medal at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Kim Jae-deok also took the mixed team gold in Tokyo. So they know what it's like to be on the podium. But if my records are right, Kim Jae-deok has never won a stage, whereas Lee Woo-suk won in Shanghai in 2019 and Antalya in 2018, and in 2018 he took a silver in the finals.
Nine or 10.
Lee Woo-suk is also one of the few people who's ever shot a 700 plus score, just not on 70 meters. He did it as a cadet in the, if I'm not mistaken, Nanjing Youth Olympics.
And what distance was that over?
60 meters.
Okay.
9.
And I think it was a 704. But then I was talking to a Korean coach when I was in Tokyo, and they were saying that Kim Jae-deok is the biggest talent that Korea has seen in over 100 years. Wow. So it is something to claim.
That really is, and just 19 years old. There's bags more to come from him, and he secures the set points in this first set with a 10, 3 nines from Lee Woo-suk, and it's Kim Jae-deok who goes 2-0 up. Okay, so here's the easy question. I'm going to make this as easy as possible. Is it simply Korea is so good because they shoot many more arrows than anyone else in the world?
I think not necessarily when they are already in a team, but I think it's because of the fact that they shoot many arrows from when they're very young. If I understand correctly, Korean archery is like ingrained in the school system, where you start in elementary school or something, and then like you start with just simple technique stuff, and like you make sure you have a good technique before you move on to actually shooting for score. So there's like this whole system where they just get like a proper education in archery and learn how to not only win but also how to shoot properly, and that is something that is just lacking in most countries.
Well, confirmation of the scores that Kim Jae-deok is 2-0 up, so Lee Woo-suk shoots first in the second.
9 or 10.
In the 9 again, by the looks of things. It's been marked for a measure. I think that's a bit generous.
Yeah, I think that was a 9. It seemed pretty clear, but it can also be that the sunlight was bothering the spotter there. You can see that they're either struggling with the wind or with the bright sunlight on the targets, but they're at least struggling with something.
Well, it's almost like you need the Koreans to be handicapped in some way. They're that good.
Yes.
Let's cut the line. That's his first 10 for a 28. Dragged that one across, didn't do enough on it. So we've got 228 here with a measured arrow. The first one for Lee in that set. We'll need the target judge to just confirm. But I think it was a 9.
I think so as well. And I think the fact that that arrow hit on that side of the 10 ring, yeah, you can clearly see some yellow in between there now. Get a really good camera angle now. I think it's just they're still trying to figure out what to do with this wind.
Yeah, I think that you're right about the sunlight though. It was certainly very bright on the target face, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it suddenly changed as well. It's not like it has been this bright the whole day. You could see that they still needed to change the ND filter on the camera as well. The target was just too bright to pick up.
So you know about cameras as well?
Only a tiny bit.
What's an ND filter?
I wouldn't know what the abbreviation actually means. I just know that you can use it to make it darker or lighter.
We start the third, and Lee is on the scoreboard, sharing the points in the second set, starting with a 9.
Yeah, you can just see that they are really struggling with the wind. Or I say struggling. He hits the middle of the target, so he's not struggling that much. But you can see that they are fighting it, and that it's not straightforward to hit the middle at this point.
Well, there's 2 ways to get to 18, clearly. That's the middle, and some pressure now. A 28 again.
Very impressive.
Another 28.
Once again,
There's nothing to split between these two. In the last 2 sets, they share the points, but by virtue of being 2 up after the first set, Kim Jae-deok holds on to that 2-point lead.
Yeah, he does indeed, and by really an impressive shot in different wind. So it's like the wind is just blowing from left to right and from right to left, and you can see that he was being blown around.
Well, it's even Stevens over the last couple of sets with that wind.
How did both archers do in qualifying here in Medellin?
There's a bit of neutral density between the two of them, and perhaps in this case it's a little bit more about the exposure from Lee Woo-suk over Kim Jae-deok, being 25 years old, 6 years older than his teammate.
One would say 6 years less young. Do you know, Kareem, who Lee Woo-suk was shooting against in Nanjing in the final?
Now, you see, I'm supposed to be asking you these questions at the start of set number 4. It's Lee Woo-suk into the 10. Go on, tell me.
It was Marcus D'Almeida, the previous stage winner. So still both very actively shooting at a very high level.
8.
Kim leaves a door open here for Lee Woo-seok.
10.
10 en toda la línea.
So he's recovering, but another 8 on the left, and I think, well, it's almost getting a bit old, but I think that wind is just, it's difficult, and you can see it here.
So a 10 to level things up again in the set. And he gets it. This is a curious old affair, isn't it? And I think you're right, it's all about the wind, but that advantage at the beginning, taking that first set, still leaves Kim in the driving seat.
Yeah, it does indeed, because now we're in a situation where if he just manages to tie Lee Woo-seok again, he walks away with the match.
Interesting that they both got coaches there.
Yeah, contrary to what we saw yesterday in the compound session between Nick Kappers and Jimmy Lutz, where they decided not to have any coaches because they were shooting against each other. Korea always just has 2 coaches out because, you know, they have plenty of archers, plenty of coaches, and might as well, I would say.
That's a great shot there. Kim looking on over Lee.
5 set points to 3 in favor of Kim Deok. Lee Woo-seok will shoot first on target 2.
So like before mentioned, Lee Woo-seok will need to win this next set if he wants to have any shot at the gold medal in this competition.
De ganar Lee Woo-seok, nos iríamos también a fecha de desempate.
Well, we had a great first semi-final between Ellison and Nespoli. We're going into the 5th of another fantastic showing between Kim and Lee. Lee trailing 5-3, needs to hammer in the 10s and hope for a mistake from his teammate Kim. Does the job with the first one.
It's interesting to see the difference in techniques here. Although, like from afar, it looks very similar. You can see that Lee Woo-seok is anchoring on the side of his nose rather than on the tip of his nose. Whereas if you look at Kim Deok, it's pretty much just on the tip, which is like more textbook, as we refer to it this weekend. And also just the way that they put their shoulders in line. You can see that Lee Woo-seok is putting them in line just slowly, whereas Kim Deok, when he lifts his bow, just you can see it push him in there.
Well, it seems to be working for him. A 10 will do it for a perfect. A 9 would have been enough, but a perfect to finish, and a little bit more like the Korean scores. We're seeing the youngster, the teenager, the 19-year-old Kim Deok from Korea beats the 25-year-old teammate Lee Woo-seok 7-3 in a real battle, and you can see the respect between them. But it will be Kim who goes for gold against Mauro Nespoli, and we're going to see Lee Woo-seok from Korea come out very shortly against Brady Ellison from the USA. And boy, 2 massive matches to come here to finish things off in Medellin.